in this, but I'm curious. In Ayurvedic medicine, they talk a lot about the bitter herbs and neem being one of the more bitter herbs. And so this one is definitely spoken about in relation to neem as far as what that can do for you in the Ayurvedic medicine. Another thing is there's a lot of vegetables that actually have this particular chemical in it, and the chemical is a saponin. Saponin. Again, I'll put this in the description. But it's found in oats, it's found in potatoes, it's found in spinach, it's found in tomatoes, found in alfalfa. So it's found in a lot of foods that we eat already. And these foods typically decrease blood lipids, lower cancer risk, and lower blood glucose response. This one I think is going to be a bit more, it's going to be a lot stronger than, spinach, of course, right? Also too, cooking these things do tend to reduce a lot of the saponin content. And I think that'll also mean that, fresh spinach is better than cooked spinach. And I think we already know that. What else? Let's talk a little bit about the toxicity of this thing. They did do a study, and I'll put this in the description as well. They did a study in mice, and so they figured after they did all the math and everything that it's something like where's that? Yeah, 24 grams of the dry leaf is what's needed to be toxic to humans. So we're looking at 5 grams of dry leaf in this water bottle, and this is 5 grams of the dry leaf here. So I'm not going to be eating this. I'm just going to be making an infusion out of it. So I'm certain I'll be okay. But, something happens, I'll definitely come back and say something. Let's see, what else? And another thing, as always, this thing has been used for thousands of years in South America, where they theorize this is where this plant originally comes from. And of course, as you know, these little cockleburr seed things just grab on to anything and can travel on water, travels in animals' fur, and they think that is how it spread around the globe. But of course, like I said, everywhere on earth has these things, but they're all different varieties. And depending on the variety, depends on the chemical makeup and also the toxicity of the plant, because in all of these plants, there's gonna be a little bit of toxicity in there. It's all about how much of it you consume. Let's see, what else? There was talk of these particular plants being used as poisons, specifically fish poisons, and also used in different religious events and stuff like that across Africa. So interesting stuff, but for the most part, I'm hoping that this doesn't taste too bad, and I can include this in a daily diet to help with liver health. The other thing that I've read, 'cause I read a lot about this thing, is that because it affects the production of bile in the liver, that then goes through all the other organs attached, such as the kidneys, the pancreas, and so forth. And again, that's what adds to its toxicity, right? Is the fact that it affects all these organs. But medicinally, that means that it's basically just going to purge all of these organs. It's going to push through that bile and get rid of anything that is not supposed to be there. It's going to kick it out. And that's the way it's used in Ayurvedic medicine. And I'm sure amongst all the other medicinal uses found in South American culture, along Africa and so forth, in India. So right away, color is not very dark, fairly light. It's kind of a weird, it's not champagne It's a little darker than that. Looks like urine, to be honest with you. It's really what it looks like. But yeah, maybe wheatgrass or something like that. Oh, you know what? I did not get my glass. All right. Now I have my glass. I'm a little worried too because this thing has thorns. And so I'm really just hoping and praying that I don't get any thorns. A little bit of plant material in there. I would say a moderate amount. Well, I'm surprised. I mean, the cold brew is not bitter at all. It's mildly sweet, actually. It's very much a green leaf. I do feel like I have a little bit of something. It didn't sting me or anything like that, but just a little hard piece of plant material. I'm trying to get a good descriptor here. But it's mildly sweet, definitely like a green vegetable. I want to say it's close to maybe zucchini. But a cooked zucchini though. It's really not bad. Let me see if I can get anything on the dry leaf. Let's see here. Oh wow. It doesn't smell good. It doesn't smell good at all. It's I'm not sure what exactly that smell is, but it's not awesome. I can't get, I mean, because I've already said urine in my mind, I kind of can't get past that. And I think it does have a little bit of a urine smell. Maybe that's in my mind. It definitely doesn't taste like it smells. It's like a little bit of earthiness in the cold brew, but that earthiness is what I'm talking about when I say it's a green leaf, you know. It's definitely a green leaf. It's a bit drying, but not bitter at all. And I was really expecting bitter. All right, so let's see what we get out of this wet leaf. I'm very curious, and I have to be very careful because there's thorns and little cockleburs on this thing. I was joking with someone not too long ago about sticker bugs. You know, I think because these plants are so spread across the globe, everyone has their own childhood word for these plants. And I remember being a kid calling them sticker bugs. And no one likes sticker bugs. But as in most cases, weeds are sometimes the best medicine. And so I'm actually going to rinse this just because I want to get a good whiff of the wet leaf before I drink this thing. Wow, yeah, it's so I know what's going on here. That smell that I get off the dry leaf, it's a bit like spinach. It's definitely a vegetable broth. And when it's hot, it smells good. But that's what it is. It's a vegetable broth. It's like spinach, mushroom, and Spinach, mushroom, and onion. Yeah. Man, that smells really nice. It smells like a soup that you definitely want to drink down. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with really hot water and see what we get. And again, you know, all the talk about the toxicity and whatnot, you know, these things, when they're testing them, they're testing concentrated extracts of these leaves, right? And so usually for medicinal purposes, you do want like a really strong brew, probably want to boil the leaves for a while. And that's not what I'm doing here, right? So this is going to be more preventative, but also I'm looking for something that actually tastes good, something that I actually want to drink, you know, or maybe even include in a food recipe. This particular plant, I don't think is going to fit that bill just because of the cockleburrs and the thorns. I doubt this is something that you'd want to put into your food, but maybe it can fill that niche of for like those really hearty, brothy type teas that you can get with some of the green teas. All right, so again, I can't help but describe this as a urine color. It's definitely more than champagne. I don't see like a green tinge or anything, and there's quite a bit of plant material suspended in this liquor. So really looking forward to drinking this. I'm gonna let it cool for just a second and smell these leaves some more. Yeah, man, this is a nice soup. And I mean, I'm spot on with it. I mean, spinach, mushroom, onion. It is perfect. Maybe even a little cream on that thing. Oh, I like that. All right. See what we get here. So very light. I think I brewed this one for maybe 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, very light, savory. It's not as soupy as I want it. It's because of the smell gives me like vegetable broth vibes. I was hoping that the brew was going to be just as thick, but it's not. It's fairly thin. But it's good though. It's definitely that vegetable broth. It's very not very light. It's just not as thick as I want it to be. I want it to be thick like a soup because it smells that way, right? That's really good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with really hot water, and I'm gonna let this thing steep as long as I can possibly take it. Really curious to see what its longevity is. So far, I think out of all these herbs I've tried so far, which has only been a few, I think there's only been one that had like real longevity. The rest of them kind of petered out pretty quick. This is really good. There's also, now I'm getting, almost a dill pickle. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, definitely a dill pickle. I really like this one. So far, I prefer the hot brew to the cold brew. A little bit more water. There we go. The question becomes, if you lose saponins when you cook this thing, is it healthier for you cold brewed? even if you're not consuming the whole leaf. Yeah, I read that, I forget which culture it is, but I think it's the Chinese culture that actually make kind of a menthol alcohol concentrated thing out of this. And, you know, when you're messing around at those concentrated levels, I would definitely be very careful about how much you're using. This variety, I think, is less toxic than the varieties in India and China. But I didn't study all those. I just looked at specifically this one and one from somewhere in Europe, Xanthium strumarium. Which is pretty potent as far as the active chemicals that cause the toxicity. But again, this thing can be found in everything. I'm reading right now. Even a little bit of this is found in Arabica coffee beans. So it's a plant chemical that's used to ward off fungus infections and possibly insect attacks as well. And so, you know, I think I've heard over and over again that proponents of, well, I shouldn't say, yeah, proponents of the meat diet talk a lot about plant poisons that are used to actually stop people and animals from eating them, right? And it's true. I mean, you know, plants don't want to be eaten. So they're going to produce chemicals to stop that. But again, like I said, I think it depends on the preparation as well as how much you're taking in. It's going to make the difference. All right, so I've been rambling on for it's got to be a minute by now. This thing is really pretty green color in here. Curious to see what color I'm gonna get when I pour it off. It's almost a vibrant green inside of here. All right, let's see what we get. It's about as long as my patience will allow. So it is noticeably darker. Again, lots of plant material in there. This one, I just don't know what it is. It's weird. I mean, you know, I've drank a lot of teas that have a similar color, but this one is just different. It's there's no green tinge. I can't really say much orange either, but it's a dark yellow. I keep coming back to urine. It's like just dark urine to me. Yeah, and again, lots of plant material suspended in there. So looking forward to that. Let's go back to this wet leaf. Yes, starting to lose a little bit of its aroma, but still very brothy. The other thing that's interesting about this one is there are a lot of twigs and sticks in there, and I don't get any of the typical kind of minty, you know, thing that I get when I'm brewing lots of stems. It's almost like the leaves, those green leaves, just completely take over the entire taste profile of this thing. I don't know what the seed pods are adding to this, but it'd be interesting to see what the differences are between leaves, the seed pods, and I wouldn't purposely brew stems unless I knew there was some special thing going on in the stems, which in this case I don't think there is. It's typically the leaves, the roots, and I think the seeds if they are ingested. I'm not sure if infusing the seeds is really gonna do anything for you. Definitely getting something out of the leaves though, for sure. All right. So yeah, I think this one is starting to lose its potency already, because this brew, even though I brewed it for much longer, same hot water, it's actually weaker. And so that's not a lot of fun. But I will say this, I think there's something to be said about a one-shot type of thing. You know what I mean? It's good for maybe a few infusions, and then that's it. No matter what, the cold brew, I'm sure it's gonna go a second time. If it does, not be surprised. I'm sure I'll be able to infuse this at least 2 more times before it's just complete water. But it is noticeably weaker. It is. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try cooler water and see if we get any difference in taste. I'm gonna try to go for about 130 Fahrenheit. I am starting to feel a little bit of activity in my tummy. Okay, that's about right. And I have to guess that I'm gonna need to steep this for quite some time, just because it seems to already be losing its potency. I probably need to flip those leaves just a little bit, since there's a little bit sticking out of the water. That might help things a little bit. And it's not the leaves, it's these stems that's causing this. Even though I think that these things are best brewed like in pots, because you know this is only 5 grams, but 5 grams takes up so much volume. You're talking about seed pods and stems and all these things. So I flipped them and agitate the water. And this is much cooler temperatures, but the liquor has turned. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this off just to see what we get. And we got a much lighter brew. Now some of that mintiness is coming out. So that's of course temperature. Still quite a bit of material there. Looks good. Yeah, so that's what it is. So cooler temperatures gives you more of the mint that you expect when brewing this much stems. Some more sweetness. So what I like about this one is cooler temperatures gives you sweetness, and hotter temperatures give you that vegetable broth. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. Yeah, I like this one. I really do. I'm definitely not going to drink this every day for a week. I'm sure if I was doing this for medicinal purposes, that would probably be the recipe, which is to drink something like this every day for 5 or 6 days before noticing any noticeable results. I also don't have any pending health issues that I can really speak to, but we do know that there's no question that this plant does have medicinal uses, and we have a really good idea about what it actually helps with and what it does to the body. So for me, I like this one. I'm going to continue drinking it, and I think that just including things like this in your daily diet can lead to good results over the long term.